welcome. Thank you so much for joining me. This is in response to a request. Somebody put a message down below and said, could you please do a presentation on Alexander, the man who knows? You know what? I try to write down who asked me these things, and sometimes I just lose them, and I can't go back and find it, so I apologize. If you're the one that asked, I apologize. I wish I could name you by name. But I was asked to do this. I'm excited to do it. I just think Alexander is amazing. This, by the way, is his biography. It's very hard to get your hands on anymore. It was published by Magic Words, which is Mike Caveney's publishing company. As you probably know, Mike Caveney, when he produces a book, he produces it in limited supply. This one is number 537 of 1,000. And I know for a fact that Mike Caveney is sold out of these, so you can't get them from him anymore. You can probably pick one up on the internet. I'm sure they're circulating around. It's really, really well done. This is by David Charvet and John Pomeroy. And I've really, really enjoyed it. Let me just talk personally for a moment about Alexander and about some of the great mentalists, great psychic entertainers of the turn of the century. Now, Alexander was born June 30th, 1880. So he was right there, he was right there in the golden age, right there at the prime time. And he was a contemporary of Anna Eva Faye. He just was born at a time when I think there was maybe a lot more confusion about how do I say this exactly? I've been studying the psychic entertainers of this period for quite some time. And I realized that if you're Penn Jillette, you're going to say, well, there's no such thing as psychic ability. That's what you're going to say. And a lot of people do say that, but I'm a believer in the true psychic. I've experienced it. It's hard to not believe in something that you've experienced. So I have experienced it, and so I do, and so did Alexander. And we have such a similar background. Alexander went and spent some time in Lilydale. Now, I think he was fairly young when he did this, but I spent a week in Lilydale. Alexander spent considerable time in Lilydale. If you don't know what that is, Lilydale, even to this day, especially in the 19th century, but even to this day, Lilydale is the heart and soul of spiritualism in America. I will say this. I'll put this on the table. You cannot spend a week in Lilydale during prime time, during the season. Now that the mediums. It sort of shuts down in the wintertime. It's in mid-state New York, just south of Niagara Falls. It's beautiful in the summertime, very cold in the wintertime. But if you go there in the summer, you spend a week there, it's very hard to walk out of there and not become a believer. It just is. It is. At the very least, the mediums there are sincere. They work very hard and to experience that firsthand, and I know that Alexander did, and I know that it had a profound impact on his life. Now, Alexander was a performer. He was a magician. He was an illusionist. He is the if you look at the turban he's wearing, he's a pioneer in certain types of electronic communication, if you will, that enabled him to do the things that he did. He's a hustler. He's a swindler. What can I say? But he also had a sincerely held belief. I think that. I really believe that. And so did Anna Eva Faye. These people were devoted to their spiritual path, even though they were performers. And I find that an inspiration, because what it says to me is that you can be more than one thing at the same time. You can be a performer, a performance artist, and an entertainer, and you can still have a sincerely held belief. And I just think that of Alexander. I could be wrong. I could be. He might hustle me even all these years after his death. But that's what I think. So let me give you the basics of Alexander. Claude Alexander Conlin was born June 30th, 1880 in Alexandria, South Dakota. He crossed over August 5th, 1954 at the age of 74 in Seattle, Washington. He was a mentalist. He was a psychic entertainer. He did what many believe to be genuine readings, what others believe to be not so genuine readings, but he did readings, private readings, aside from his stage presentation, which again makes him a very compelling, interesting character. He was active in what you may or may not be familiar with, New Thought. New Thought is a philosophical orientation that eventually evolved into motivational speaking. Norman Vincent Peale, Zig Ziglar, all these people are sort of outgrowths of the New Thought movement that was really born in the 19th century. He was also an occultist. He was also a spiritualist. He went by a few different names. Alexander the Great is Alexander the Man Who Knows. Alexander the Man Who Knows is the name that he is most associated with. But he also went by simply Alexander, Alexander the Crystal Seer, Alexander the Man Who Knows. He was an author and performer, specializing in mentalism and psychic readings. Johnny Carson. Johnny Carson created a character during the Tonight Show run called Carnac the Magnificent. Carnac spelled C-A-R-N-A-C. Carnac the Magnificent. If you've ever seen Carson do this, it's hysterical. He wears the turban like this. He comes out and Ed McMahon does this spiel about these envelopes were hermetically sealed in a jar of mayonnaise on such and so's porch, and no one has seen their contents. But you, the great Carnac, you will divine their contents. And so Johnny Carson holds this envelope up to his head, gives an answer, tears the envelope, reads the question. It's hysterical stuff. I'm going to put some links down below if you want to see this. I think what Carson's doing is he's parroting Alexander. So if you want to see a parody of Alexander, the Man Who Knows, take a look at Carnac the Magnificent, Johnny Carson's very funny character. From 1915 to 1927, Alexander performed under the name of Alexander the Man Who Knows. He did primarily a question-answer act, meaning audience members would write down questions. Those questions would be sealed, burned, something, and then he would divine those questions and provide answers from the stage. We have mentalists today that the question-answer act is their bread and butter. Alexander did it back in the day. Anna Eva Faye did it. For years and years and years, the question-answer act has been the staple of the psychic entertainer. He retired from the stage at the young age of 47 in 1927, having amassed millions and millions of dollars as a performer. If you can imagine, he is considered to be the highest paid mentalist, perhaps the highest paid magician of his time. If you didn't know that, oh yeah. The mentalist, the psychic entertainer, was better paid than Thurston, than Keller, than any of them. So yeah, he did quite well for himself. Retires at the age of 47. From 1919, this is back before he actually retired, but he started in 1919 all the way through the 1950s. He operated a publishing company by the name of C. Alexander Publishing in Los Angeles, California, which released, and this is why I say I think he was really sincere, it released books on astrology, books on spiritualism, and books on New Thought. He very much embraced these ideas, and he wanted to share them with other people. And so he devoted the rest of his life to publishing these ideas and promoting them. He crossed over August 5th, 1954. He was 74 years old. He passed away due to complications from an operation for stomach ulcers. Now that's, stomach ulcers. He's survived by 2 sons and a daughter. He's buried in Seattle, Washington. So folks, hey, that's my little spiel on Alexander. I hope you enjoyed it. Thank you so much for joining me. Please subscribe down below if you've not done so already. Please comment. I love your comments. I'll respond to them. Thank you so much for joining me. Have a great day.